This is Jeff Rowe for MCAD Cafe, and we're at SOLIDWORKS World this week in Los Angeles, and joining me this afternoon is Glen Smith of DriveWorks. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're more than welcome.
It's always fun to meet a fellow mechanical engineer.
I love being a mechanical engineer.
So did I. I did at one time. Can you give our viewers a little background on DriveWorks and how your background was influential in starting the company?
Sure. So DriveWorks is a design automation tool for SolidWorks. So we started off just by automating SolidWorks as a mechanical engineer for products that are the same but different, where the product changes each time it's designed or sold, but it's based on rules. So we created DriveWorks to be able to automate that process. The people who wanted to use DriveWorks then stopped being just the engineers and became the sales guys or the customers. And so now we have a suite of product configurator and CPQ software for designing custom products. The nice thing about that is, in terms of designing it in the browser, that goes all the way through to manufacturing. It's really important, and that's the engineering story, really. It's really important that we create all of that good engineering data automatically as well.
Okay, very good. Now, can you describe a typical DriveWorks user?
I'm not sure there's such a thing as a typical user, but generally it's somebody who has used SolidWorks to automate, to design their product, but then doesn't want to have to do the copycat thing. So every time they create a new one, they don't want to have to do a save as and start changing, the dimensions and features. And so they want to automate that process. One of the reasons I got into this, partly as a mechanical engineer, but also I really don't like doing the same thing twice. I don't like driving to work the same way twice. And so there are a lot of sort of dull tasks, repetitive tasks that can be automated. But there's other real benefits to that as well. So as soon as you can automate something, you're cutting errors out. You're saving time, you're getting to market quicker. There's loads of other benefits than just the time saving and the automation. So then when that extends out into a sales configurator, now the customer themselves can start specifying products, effectively designing products, and everything gets created automatically downstream. Okay, so
that really enlarges the scope beyond the typical engineer.
Well, it does, and the whole automation thing then becomes addictive. You automate the creation of the manufacturing data, and then the next thing is the sales data. The next thing is the links into ERP. The next thing is the link into a sales system. And so the data can then flow throughout the business. And so the integration becomes really important as well. It's not just automation. You don't just want an island of automation. You want to be able to integrate things together.
Now, we spoke last year at SolidWorks World.
We did.
And can you discuss what's happened in the last year, and then what are you showing this year at SolidWorks World?
So there's two main things that have changed in the market. One is the term CPQ, so configure, price, quote. DriveWorks has been a configurator for a long time, but it's a term that people are using. And there's a certain expectation of capability that people expect. The really interesting thing about that is a lot more people are talking about it. So we don't have to be missionaries anymore. People already know what it is. But then the flip side of that, well, actually something that goes with that is people wanting to do a lot more in 3D in a browser. So to be able to visualize something, it's not enough to just change some pictures or show something that looks like a CAD model. It has to look good and be engaging. And so doing 3D in a browser becomes really important. That goes even further then when people are doing things like shop floor layouts. And so to be able to lay out items, connect things together in 3D in a browser, and then have DriveWorks create all of the manufacturing data automatically in the background becomes quite a compelling story. And that's what we're showing on the booth here.
Oh, okay. Now, with the new SolidWorks CAM capability, can you offer any benefits to this new user?
So that gets really interesting because we talked about automation and the creation of manufacturing data. Obviously, the G code on the machine is just part of that. And so we automate SolidWorks CAM in the way that you would expect, so that you get the G code out. We've got another example on the booth here. It's a model that has been given to us by SolidWorks for the shop, for the factory floor. So we've created a configurator for that, and it creates things like model-based definition files, it creates CAM files, it creates renders, anything that you can do manually in SolidWorks as an output, we want to be able to automate.
Okay.
And so it really is everything to be able to sell and manufacture that component, and we're creating it all.
Nice, nice. Where can our viewers go for more information about DriveWorks?
So we have a number of examples on site. We're very much an open company from that point of view.
Okay.
So if they head over to driveworkslive.com, there's a load of configurators on there. They can have a go. If they put their details in, they'll start receiving some examples of the manufacturing and sales data that DriveWorks is creating automatically in the background.
Okay.
So
Very, very
there's
good.
a lot there.
Very good. Well, Glenn, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.